Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Details Flowers Masterclass for January. My name is Corrine Heck. I'm so happy that you've made your way to join us so that we can have an hour long, or maybe not quite an hour. We won't hold you here hostage for that long, Willie. Might be with all the questions, but with my good friend Williee Armellini from Flowers and Scents. Welcome, Willie.
My pleasure. Welcome. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So you're on the other side of the interview. You're usually the one asking the questions.
Yeah,
And
I know you put me on the spot here, so I've prepared myself. I've been meditating and concentrating and illuminating and all that sort of stuff.
did you play any music before you
did.
hopped on the
I
call?
did. I played four or
Oh,
five songs that I was rehearsing before I came on because I was like, okay, I got to kill some time because I'm 2 in the afternoon for me. It's almost the end of the day, So uh, and I originally thought this was 10 o'clock, so I was already at 10 o'clock, and I'm sitting.
oh
I
no.
read the thing and it said 2 o'clock. I said, "Oh, apparently you should read more often." And to go with that, I put out an email this morning that was misspelled and different things. So I'm
Oh no,
not a
that's no
very I'm not a very good editor, but I never claimed to be such a great editor. But hey, it's
worries.
it's all good.
So for those who don't know Willie, I happened to meet him, I think, way back in 2016, 8 years ago now, at the wholesale convention. And this was when I was first getting started in the industry. And I thought, here I've built this software. I got to go and I got to sell it now. So I had to start showing up to all of these places.
Mhm.
And I had a friend that was walking around with me, and he said, if you want to know anything about the floral industry, you see the man in the cowboy hat over there, that's the person that you need to know. So I was like immediately intrigued and walked over and introduced myself to you. And that's how we struck up a friendship.
Yeah, and almost similar. People said to me, "Check that girl out. She's doing something different there." And I said, "Okay, let's go find out what she's doing." So, through that mutual desire to learn, we found each other, and then have seen each other at multiple places since.
Yeah. So to give it a little background, your last name is Armellini, and for anybody that's in the flower industry, they probably recognize that name or have seen it on a truck trekking across the whole United States. And you started in the floral industry, gosh, probably when you were a young man, or
I was born into it.
yeah, you were born into it. Like you are basically the backbone of the industry. I feel like your family business trucks these flowers all over the United States to get it to us. But thus being, you know so much about what's happening in South America and all the different places where flowers are grown. So years ago, you started this podcast, and that's
Yeah,
basically what you do. And you're giving out information monthly to let
yeah.
people have insights on the flower industry, but also you're mainly the source of information for all the wholesalers, as I understand it, or they get a lot of their information.
Well, I'm pleased that many of them tell me that I'm their news source, and
Yeah.
if they read it if they read it something from me, they believe it
Yeah.
because I don't have any acts, I have nobody to please. I'd like to please my advertisers, of course, but still, I don't buy flowers, I don't sell flowers. I really, well, I've had quite a varied past, but one of the questions you sent me some questions. Let me answer them for you. And
Yeah.
it asked me, how'd my family get in the flower business? And it's a really long story, but I'll give you this real short version.
Sure.
My father and my mother started this business in 45. And the reason they started in the flower business is because some half brothers of my father, my uncles, if you will, were flower growers in Vineland, New Jersey.
Okay.
And they were growing gyp and all sorts of what we call fillers, I think, these days, gladiolas and different things. And my father was going off to war. He was not in the flower business or not in the trucking business at the time. He was just actually he was delivering meat with on a horse-drawn wagon. And anyway, his brothers said, "Look, if you go to the war, if you come back and if you live through the war and come back, we will sell you our truck." Okay,
Okay.
so in the early days, back in this is the 50s, early 40s, the individual growers had their own truck and would haul their flowers, in this case from Vineland to Philadelphia or New York or Boston, perhaps. And so each farmer had his own truck. There was no commercial service. So they said, if you survive the war, we'll sell you our truck. So he came back. Luckily, he survived the war. He came back, and they said, okay, we'll sell you a truck for $100, but the bad news is it's in Florida and it's broken. So him and my mother got on a train and went down there. My father's a very handy fellow, and he fixed the truck, and they drove it back to New Jersey. And at that point, they started Armellini Express, which in 1945, hauling then the flowers of various growers to New York, Boston, Philadelphia, those places. So
Yeah.
that's really how it started. Then going to the next question here, you got me set up.
Yeah. Wait,
Uh,
he runs this podcast and he's usually the one asking the question. So it's kind of a role reversal here. What brought your family to Florida, Willie?
flowers. One of the brothers said, "Hey, the only problem with growing flowers in New Jersey, it's cold in the winter. You can't grow flowers. But in Florida, the sun shines all the time." So one of the brothers moved down to Delray Beach and bought a whole bunch of land, much to the benefit of my cousin, and started growing gladiolas down in Florida in Delray Beach. And that started this process of my dad coming to Florida to pick up flowers to haul to various cities around the country,
Yeah.
mostly the Northeast at the time. And back then, flowers, the trailers were refrigerated with ice.
Well, I was going to say, like, how did you get them? But I'm
Ice.
sure you guys have probably been at the forefront of making sure that the logistic part of the
Well,
floral industry is
yeah,
well
we,
survived.
yeah, we, I grew up thinking I was in the trucking business, and right away I figured out, you're in the flower business because our main crop was flowers. So I ended up knowing more about flowers than trucks, perhaps. Um, so then, he started growing flowers. I mean, my uncle started growing flowers here, and my father started hauling them, and it turned out okay. And a whole bunch of good fortune and bad luck and good luck uh, created what is Armellini today. Um, there was one other big event that is in my book that is about to come out. I'm
Really?
got a book that I've written about my life in the flower business, and many of the questions that I answer here will be almost excerpts because it's been in my head.
Yeah,
Uh,
right.
uh, there was a very crucial moment in my dad's and mom's or our floral career, if you will, and that is that when the imports started happening in the early '80s, local growers here in Florida, which there were many, started saying, what are all these imports coming from, and what's that? And they grow pretty good pom poms, and we grow pom poms, and so to make a long story short, they cornered my dad one time at a convention way back
Mhm.
when and said, "Hey, if you keep hauling those imports, we're going to boycott you and not put our flowers on your trucks."
Oh,
And that was a crucial moment, as you might imagine, because my
well, no
dad,
one likes anybody to tell them what to do.
no, and particularly not an Italian father like mine. So he said, hmm. He called up a good friend at Pennock and he said, "Hey, these imports real? Are they going to stick around? Is this the real thing?" And they said yes. So he told the growers, "Look, I appreciate what you're saying, but if I don't haul these, somebody else will." So
Yeah.
he said, "Okay, I'm hauling them. If you want to boycott me, go ahead." Turned out to be the right decision. They didn't really boycott them. Frankly, the wholesalers make the decision, not the growers in that respect. So they
Mhm.
wanted Armellini to haul their flowers, so they did. So
Yeah.
that's how we ended up in Florida.
Well, that's amazing. I'm glad because we all are enjoying the sunshine in the sunshine state
Yeah,
here,
it
almost
was a good move. Yeah,
a
because
year
otherwise
round. So
I'd
it's
still be in New Jersey probably.
pretty miserable in other parts of the world. What are some of the key things that you saw like from seeing a business grow like that? Because I can remember, gosh, when I started the import business in the 2000s, Armellini was I think there were like 5 or 6 different trucking lines that people were shipping on and they could choose. But I feel like
Right.
with consolidation and everything, you guys are really one of the only major players still
Well,
around.
there was a lot of
Import
players
and-
that have come and gone over the years. Coggins, Stansel, many of those names from the past. And most of them we outlived, if you will, I guess in most cases. We just were stronger and better organized, I guess, and survived all that. Yeah, and there's just a few truckers now. I mean, look, I can't deny the fact that my family has played an integral part in the floral business in the U.S. There's
Yeah.
no doubt about it. They provided a service that allowed South America to come in and meet or enter markets that they couldn't otherwise touch.
Mhm.
So there was a regular service, it was a daily service, a weekly, whatever, 2 or 3 times going to New York and Chicago and all these places. So it really was part of the backbone. I won't take all the credit for it or for my family. There was other truckers doing it, but my dad was passionate about refrigeration and not crushing boxes to almost to a detriment because he built these trailers that were so flour specific. They didn't do much for anything else. You couldn't haul freight in them very easily because they were so damn heavy to begin with. And
Mm.
freight, general freight, when the trucks empty out in New York and Chicago and different places, they bring back general cargo, anything from soup to nuts. So
Yeah. Well,
over the years, that's
it
changed.
is really tremendous to do. Last year at the Next Gen, they did a tour of Armellini's facility, and I was lucky enough to go on that. And David, your brother, who's the president, was on my tour bus, so I basically got the official tour from David himself,
Okay.
which I really appreciated. He was one of the first people in the industry I ever met, and when I met him, I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're David Armellini! You're a celebrity!" Like I really was like, he is because it's just so amazing to me, but it's so much coordination and logistics. Are you happy to not be on that side anymore? Because you've since started Flowers and Scents. Is your life easier now than having to deal with the headaches of these flowers didn't arrive, or this
Yes.
was fumigated and we can't haul it? Like, yeah,
The quick answer is yes.
yeah, oh yeah. I said
I let
just
my brothers deal with the stress like they're dealing with now. You know, Valentine's is coming, so how many
yeah,
trucks do they need, and how much flowers will be? When will the flowers come? How many will come, and blah blah blah. So, yeah, I don't miss those times, but they were fun and educational. You know, I left the family business in 94, 93, 94.
okay.
Um, and people say, well, why'd you leave the family business? It was a good thing. Well,
Because it was a family business. No.
that's the first answer, yes. And I'm not the oldest son in an Italian family, so
Okay.
you know, it was just one of those awkward moments. So I said, okay, there's more to life, so I'll move on. So I did, and one of the things that I ended up doing, I started a packaging business. I was a partner with Temkin and International, making sleeves.
Okay.
So I was a bag maker.
Not too
That did
far from flowers. You're always
not.
keeping your hands
Yeah,
in
well,
the
they were. I was putting, making plastic sleeves, putting them in my Pathfinder and driving them from Stewart to Miami to deliver to the bouquet makers. So that's how it started. But I think importantly enough, I went through that and left the business. Okay, and I didn't start Flowers and Scents right away. I started working again in the packaging business. That didn't work out too good. I left the packaging business and I moved here to Orlando. Actually, I was recruited by a guy who was starting a portal, an online flower portal.
like a
But
software? Or
software,
Gosh, you were on the cutting edge of
your kind of
something.
stuff.
Yeah.
So back then, this is in 2000, 90, yeah, or
Was
just a
it
few years.
deflower? No. What it was
No, it
going.
was called Floraplex.
Okay.
World Commerce Online was the brand, which is a great brand. World Commerce Online. It was great, and it was one of those companies. It was too early for
Yeah.
the
I was like,
internet.
what is the internet?
Well,
Yeah, get a life, Willie.
I spent most of my time explaining to people what the internet was. Forget how you're going to buy flowers or sell flowers. It's like,
Yeah.
what is, exactly what is that thing? So
Yeah.
we were too early, and that didn't work out. So, but in the interim of all that, during that time, there was a big company, an investment firm called, I forget exactly what they were called, but Rosie was the name that they were marketing under. USA Floral Products
I see.
was a private equity firm that had just
Mhm.
rolled up the staple business or the office business and created staples. So they had a lot of money and said, okay, the flower business, we can wrap that, we can roll that up. We'll buy all
Yeah.
of these wholesalers and importers and we'll just flip this thing and make a bunch of money.
Okay.
So during that process, they were trying to go public. USA Floral, again, under ROSI was their ticket name. And Yahoo, well, I guess some investors started a Yahoo chat room for the investors mostly. And
Okay.
we're talking up this stock and saying how great it's going to be and blah, blah, blah. And these companies really know what they're doing and blah, blah, blah. And at the same time, that was an anonymous chat room. And so USA Floral was buying up importers in Miami who were today our competitors. Tomorrow, you're my partner.
Yeah.
And they bought up a bunch of those. And they bought
Oh,
a
no.
bunch of wholesalers who, again, now you're my customer, tomorrow you're my partner.
Right.
And it got very complicated. And the employees of these various companies anonymously were posting on this website and saying, these people don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
And there's chaos here, and what's going on? They don't know what they're doing. The stock is going to crash, and ultimately it did. It did go public. I think it got to $28, and then it crashed, totally
Mm,
went bankrupt. But in
wow.
the interim, there was a lot of banter on this website. Again, anonymous website.
Interesting too. You were eating the popcorn, reading all of this every night,
Oh, it
probably.
was wonderful. And what happened was, I think I was the only person, anybody who knew. I was Mark. I was Harley, 1993. So
I
uh,
thought you were Willie with two E's or something at the
I
end.
didn't come that till a little bit later, um, and that's because Willie Nelson has it with one E. That's why I
Oh,
did
I
it.
gotcha. Yeah.
Um,
Well, you both wear a hat.
that's true, and we both play music. So,
Yeah.
um, anyway, what happened was that the as after it went bankrupt, this chat room became very difficult to get to, and it's happened very quickly. Suddenly, you had to go through a couple extra clicks to get there, and I'm like, this is going to go wrong. And there was so many people posting. I said, okay, here's my big chance. Since I was working on the internet, I knew a little bit about the internet. Went to one of the guys, said, get me an email, get me a URL, call it Flowers and Cents. And I told everybody, come here. And I put up a chat room, and they did. So in
Yeah.
2001, I started Flowers and Cents, which was, again, literally just a chat room. I had to do very little to it. I just watched it happen,
Yeah. It's like an online group, but yours has been going strong. What year did you launch that?
2001.
Wow.
So this is before Facebook, before social media really was taking off. So it was a very popular site, and
Yeah.
people were posting and posting and posting. So I said, all right, everybody come here. They did. I allowed it to be anonymous, and it went on again for another couple of years until some feelings got hurt. People got a little personal, and because it was anonymous, it was a little not shady, but anyway, people could say what they want. I did monitor it and try to keep it respectful, but people got
Yeah.
their feelings hurt occasionally. Uh, so I said, um, maybe I need a real site. And about that time, the software I was using, this is becoming a recurring issue in my life here, but the software I was using became inaccessible. They weren't refreshing it. It was crashing. And
Terrible. You need
so
a software that is solid, that works like
it
wonders,
works.
like details. Yeah.
Sounded pretty simple. Okay, I need a website. So I had somebody build a website for me, and I took it out of being anonymous and started it, and people kept posting and kept coming. And one day, somebody calls me up and says, "Hey, I want to put an advertisement on your website." And I said, "I don't even take any." He said, "I'm going to send you $50 in a credit card. I mean, a business card. Put it on your
Yeah.
website." So I did, and within a couple of days, I had another call. "Hey, I saw some advertisements on your website," and
Gotta keep up with the Joneses before
here they
you get
go.
it.
So they started buying advertisements. And again, in that process of watching all this news happen, even though it was a lot of banter and bullshit, if you will, I realized there was news there, right? And I think if this thing goes away, there's news is there. There is actual news that I could post. And at the same time, print publications were going out of business. Flower News, Floral Nursery Times, all these print publications were having trouble, struggling. And I happened to have an online uh,
Portal.
access
Yeah.
portal for
Yeah.
people. So
These
they
journalists at
have
the end of the
embraced
day.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, and I find it really interesting because, you'll post I mean, I don't know if you have a regular cadence, but whenever I get, one of your emails in my inbox, I don't delete it. I have to read what's in it because I know that it's really valuable information that you are pulling about something that's happening in the industry, and I think that, oftentimes you're posting about a weather predicament or a landslide or mud, that situation is blocking the highways in Ecuador, and guess what, flowers are going to be delayed. Like, this
Yeah.
is boots on the ground information that a lot of times is you just don't see it. I think it's
No,
just really interesting.
no, and that's what people seem often tell me. Look, again, like if I read it from you, I believe it. But I think COVID, moving a little forward here, COVID changed a few things. First
Right.
of all, there was a really lack of information. The situation was moving so fast, very unclear. Nobody knew what, it was changing minute by minute. So I did my best just to find out what I could find out and report on that. And I've gotten so many compliments, people saying, "Thank you." You gave me. I was like, I can see a little bit. Okay, I can see there's a path, and it's not all doom and gloom. So
Right.
that
Oh, and
has
that
been,
kind of foresight. I mean, and I think having your family in the business, they also can know, yes, those flights are delayed, actual like inside information. And I don't know if you're privy to all of that anymore because you're not really as, but I feel like,
uh,
is
they're
that
nice
still a
to me.
topic at family gatherings? It's like, oh, this is what's happening
Well,
now.
they have to guard and tell me, they said, this you can't publish, that you don't want to publish, this you want to publish. I mean, but it goes on. Luckily I have friends in the business, who I can call up and say, "Hey, what's going on? Tell me the truth."
Yeah.
And I try to report on that. So that's been real useful. The other thing that saved me with COVID was this contraption, this Zoom thing,
Yeah.
right? Because suddenly there was no travel, there was no music, there was no nothing. I was like, holy crap, what am I going to do? And the guys from Flower Circus interviewed me, much like you're doing, and I said, I can do that.
Yeah.
They can pull out the Zoom thing. I can figure it out. I'm technical enough or not, but anyway, I can figure this out. So
Yeah.
that helped me a lot, and it also gave me a forum, and I said I can interview people, and one of the questions here, I'm jumping ahead, is how
He's
many
got
have
my
you
list of
done? How
questions.
many have you done?
Only like 7.
You maybe go back and count them.
I know we gotta, and I have to fill you in on a little secret here. Willie has only messed up on his like regular podcast one time where he didn't press the record button for an entire interview, and it was mine. No.
No, I have to tell you there was another one.
Oh, was there? There
David
was.
Kaplan too. I messed him up too. But anyway, yeah, it's an
The red
embarrassing
light went on when I
situation.
turned it
Yeah,
on.
it's embarrassing, but hey, it happens, and that's I've gotten better at making sure hit the record button.
So
Um,
you also go to almost every event that I'm at or more. You've traveled probably to more than I have traveled this last year. I think if we weren't at the same event, we were each at another event,
yeah,
probably going on at the same time. And something that people can remark on you is you always have your hat on, and you always have a camera around your neck. Have you had to also be not only the journalist, you also have to be the photographer of your news and
yeah.
yeah,
I'm more than
creative.
that. I'm a pretty lousy editor. Again, after my faux pas this morning, I spelled Amsterdam wrong. But anyway, um,
Oh, yeah.
it happened. But yeah, and I don't take notes. I just go around and take pictures. My pictures sort of tell the story for me. And I used to sit there and take copious notes, and I'd look at them later and say, "That's who wants to read that crap?" Just tell them what's going on. So I let the pictures do the talking for me. And at each convention, I try to listen. People tell me things. Some things I can report on, some things I can't. But for the most part, I just listen, and people will tell you things.
Yeah.
What's going on in the industry, and these shows have. Sometimes I think, I thought, God, these people must be bored with me taking pictures at all these shows and shows after shows. But then I think not. People say, I love it. Keep doing it.
No,
So
you get a lot of hits on your YouTube channel. I always check in to see like, oh, how is my former interview doing? Like how many people have looked at mine? And I'm sure you have so many people that come on that are guests on your show. Like you've probably had hundreds of people on since you started this.
240 is if I've counted correctly, more or less, that I've done since 15 years, I think is when I started actually doing these, because initially I didn't do interviews or anything, or I would take my camera at a show and stick it in your face and say, okay, sell me,
Yeah.
sell
No,
me.
well, I think it's so a creative way for us all to get insight into other products maybe we haven't heard of, or companies that you might be interested in how they got started. So I feel like you have a very wide range of who you interview or who you bring on. And a lot of times it's like you're meeting this person for the first time. So like with you, I know you and I
Yeah,
goof off with you, but some people's personalities are a little, sometimes they're a little dry or
yeah, that's a bigger challenge when I don't know the person. But I went back, as you sort of forced me to do, in a sense. I went back and said, okay, not only did I do two, I wonder who got the most hits. So I went looking, and
uh-oh,
I thought it was going to be my
Mike Black.
interview.
No.
No, I thought it was going to be my interview with Bill Doran,
Okay.
um, and I got 1,200. However, the best one was Pro Flora 2019. I got over 2,000 views. And
Wow.
I think my cover photo for that one is Herbert Jordan and Juan Carlos Hannaford sort of hugging each other, and they stood for that picture. That's a famous picture for me that I'm very proud of having, because it's not easy to get those two in the same room, and it's not
Or
easy,
hugging.
or yeah, and to get them to hugging or and shaking hands. So I was very happy to get that picture, and that perhaps that's why it got the most views. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I get 300-400 views on most of the interviews. Depends. Some are more interesting than others. Timing is a lot. I don't try to do one every week. When I originally started this thing, I said I'm only going to put out an email when I have something to say, because there's something happened,
Right.
and that was a good strategy to begin with, because people said, no, when I see yours, I'm going to read it, because you don't give me a bunch of, you're not sending me one every day or something. So you must have something to say. And as
Yeah.
I've gotten a little closer or farther down the line, or more mature perhaps, I started, trying to do one every week if I can, mainly because if I have news every week, if there's enough interviews or shows, there's always something going on.
Yeah.
I really try not to invade people's email boxes too much.
No, it's not good, but I always feel like you have something really lovely to like either hear about or see about, or if you missed and you didn't go, like you were there representing for us and you kind of do a really nice recap video of everything that was happening. And a lot of times it's like, that show from Willie's video looked really interesting. Like I probably need to go and check this out next year. So I do a lot of research and development, and I think a lot of people are. So if you're a florist and you're not following Willie, how can they follow on your newsletter?
Well, as I told you a little bit earlier, websites are a giant pain in the ass to keep up and running. So my current website at flowersandcents.com has just been put back up. It's old news at the moment, but you can go there and there's a pop-up will come up and say sign in for the newsletter.
Cool.
Or if you really want to do it directly, just send me an email at Willie, Williee, at flowersandcents.com. And maybe you can throw that up on there or something. Uh,
Yeah.
and I'm about to launch a new website here in the next 10 days, I hope. It's just been challenging. More bad news with hackers, and hey, I don't like websites.
Hey, you got, it's
You know about it.
heck, don't I ever? So where is the furthest you've traveled for a floral event? And
Kenya.
Kenya, how many hours were you on the flight?
Well, it was 9 hours to Amsterdam and then 8 hours to Nairobi.
What would so should anybody go to these events, or would you say, you should really just go to those if you're
Well,
a seller or a breeder, or like
well,
who
certainly if
dominates
you're
Kenya?
certainly if you're a breeder, you want to be represented there. There's a lot of flowers being grown in Kenya,
Mm,
and Ethiopia as well, and it's a serious flower business there. So yes, if you're a breeder or a grower, the African market basically is servicing the European market, right? It's the natural trading partner,
right.
and South America is servicing the U.S. and Canada. Uh,
Mm,
they were inviting me there because they were trying to get American buyers to go there to see if they can buy African flowers. And we did. In fact, I took a couple tours there, and we went around and saw everything. And it's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's a very interesting country, but the logistics don't work.
no.
at
Is
least
it
in
just the
Kenya.
flights are too long, or is it do you
There
just
is no
take the
direct, first
product?
of all, there's no direct flight to the US. So yeah,
Okay.
everything goes through Holland or Dubai or different places. So there's not an easy way, no cargo flights. It's just passenger flights if you can get them. Um,
Yeah.
Ethiopia, on the other hand, has done a better job mainly because they have good airplanes and they fly to 3 or 4 American cities.
Okay.
So that alone gives you some input. But Kenya, we couldn't really make it work.
Yeah.
So no, I would say, your average wholesaler doesn't need to go there. Your florist, other than seeing Nairobi, which is really interesting, uh, and there's a gigantic flower market there. So
You are almost in Amsterdam or the Netherlands every time you can go, I feel like is your
uh,
taking a trip over
about
there.
20 years, I think I've been doing that for there, and mainly because I have a good friend who is in the business, who I have a room at his house, and he drives me everywhere and feeds me, and so it's a beautiful thing and
Yeah.
translates when necessary. But
Oh yeah.
in Holland, everybody speaks English, so
Yeah.
yeah, and that's a really wonderful show. Matter of fact, there's 2 shows there. You have the IFTF, which is hosted by HPP, and then you have the Aalsmeer auction, um, that does their own convention was there, which is another huge show. They're quite big, but those are the places to be in November.
Well, I have an idea for you, Willie, is you need to put out maybe Willie's field trip and you can take a group of people on a tour bus and go to all these during certain times because I think that everyone would love to see someone who's had historical footprints on the ground and can tell them where all the best places are, just to kind of get an understanding. Because I think there's a lot of people that work in flowers, especially a lot of florists, that have no idea where these products are coming from or how far they've traveled or what it's taken to get them to it. And I just think it's such a like I'm hungry for education, right? I want to learn everything I can. And then it's our job not only to learn that, but then put it forward, right? To teach. So I'm gonna challenge you with that.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna add that to my
I'll
notes.
sign up. Me and Florida Man are gonna come on the Willie
Okay,
field
you can
trip.
be my first guest on my tour.
So what has been your favorite place to visit in all of your travels?
You know, I'm going to say Amsterdam just because
Yeah.
I've been there enough. I like the little city. I like the people. It's a good show. I pretty much know my way around, so that's a good one. And there's many a good show because they travel around. That one happens to be in the same place every time, so I sort of know the lay of the land a little better.
Yeah. Is there anything that you've witnessed in your floral career that you've seen as major changes? I mean, and don't answer everything, like everything has changed, but is there any like
Yeah,
n-
I'm
significance that you've seen that has changed?
yeah, I don't think it's news anymore. But look, when I was growing up in the business, the wholesalers were it.
Okay.
Supermarkets were sort of not even on the chart.
Yeah.
Uh, most way back when, supermarkets would basically end up with the leftover flowers that wholesalers didn't buy. Because the grower would say, okay, I got, whatever, 10 boxes of gladiolas left over. I'll make a deal with the supermarket to buy them. So, because supermarkets were not into flowers at that time, it just wasn't on their radar. And look what's happened now. The bulk of the flowers are going to supermarkets. For better or for worse, that's where they go. They have some advantages. They buy big. People are in there shopping. It's a cash and carry. It's not arrangements. It's not weddings. It's not funerals. It's cash and carry. And like a good flower guy, when I go into Trader Joe's or whatever, I watch people around the selection or the section, and women fighting over peonies. You
Yeah.
know, I saw them first. No,
Yeah.
so,
Well, we
uh,
love seeing people consume flowers. It's just they need
they,
to get a more artisan, right? From some
well, yeah, when
designer.
one of the things that changed to a florist. Look, I'll admit that I know probably the least amount about the retail business than I know about the rest of the flower business. Although I want to go to AFID in Orlando here this year.
Hey, you can come be at our table. We're going to be a sponsor.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah,
Play music in our hospitality suite, y'all. We have a hospitality suite. Willie's playing, so
okay,
reason to show up.
I'm already on. Okay.
Yeah, you're already on.
Um, but way back when, florist shops were so intimidating. I remember my mom dragging me into the local florist shop, and don't touch anything, don't touch anything. I was like, and I was just intimidated by the wholesale. And in prior years when I worked for Greenleaf Wholesale, so I have some wholesale experience, and I was in a lot of retail shops. Some of the retail shops I couldn't get out of fast enough. I couldn't believe people would buy flowers in this place.
Mhm.
Where's the flowers? Well, in their back room in a cooler, and you go in the cooler, and it's an old ice cream box or something. I don't know, or keeping sodas cold. I'm like, this ain't right.
Yeah.
Um, and on the other hand, I've been to some now, that are like full shops with espresso bars and
Mhm.
internet shops and lots of other things besides flowers, which is great. They made it a buying experience.
Mhm.
So, I think that's another change. I think florists have had to step up their game. You can't just be a florist anymore and take your Teleflora or your FTD wire and fill an order. That doesn't cut it anymore. You got to be much more proactive. As you touch that business every day.
Well, I feel like when I was doing events or was in florals working every day, I realized really quickly that I couldn't compete with the supermarket. So I really had to offer something different. And that's why my business was solely events. And then voila, you saw the need for such a software to help manage that. But it's a huge thing. It's a competitive place out there, and our florists have to be really savvy to get people calling them and ordering from them because there's just a lot of different options and a lot competitive pricing, right? So you can't
Yeah,
really
and
Trader Joe's.
yeah, and those really deceptive ads. You Google, some florist, then you get the 3 or 4 sponsored ad first from you Floral, which is now part of FTB and all that stuff. I'm like, wow, it's
Yeah.
really, it's deceiving. You have to really be careful to know who you're buying from.
Yeah, well, and then maybe that should be a push, I feel like, from the industry at large, is like have do our consumers know where these products are coming from to get more handcrafted things from actual florists running small businesses. But yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
um
go ahead.
no, no, I was gonna say I enjoyed seeing you a few times this last year. And I have to say, at many of these conventions, you are, I don't know if they pay you or what, but you're like the headlining musician that is like doing all the entertainment. So not only are you writing about it, you're photographing it, you're interacting, you're also like entertaining all these people. So Willie, what is there that you can't do?
Well, let's leave it at I'm good at certain things and not so good at other things. Uh, in fact, Fun and Sun, the Cal Flowers event,
Yeah.
last year I put it, they asked me to put together an industry band, which I did.
You and Ben Powell.
Ben Powell and the Monty from Bill Duran, and they, believe it or not, they've asked me to do it again. They've said it was
Oh,
so
really?
popular that we want you to do it again. So I'm going to put that together.
See, this is why people need to buy their tickets. They need to say Williee Armellini is playing, and they're going to sell way more tickets to this event. So it happens in California.
Yeah,
In Central
having and
Park.
yeah, outside somewhere. I don't know. We did it on the beach last time. This time I'm not sure where it's going to be. Somewhere outside, and they have lovely venues there. It's a wonderful spot.
Yeah.
So yeah, music. This all came together for me in a very weird way. I was never trained as a journalist. Didn't know anything about journalism. Uh, just so happened I like to take pictures. I've always had a camera and taking pictures back and developing my own films way back when. And I've always been musical. So I was able to put all these 3 together and start writing. Okay, I can write, it's not perfect, but I can write. And I know how to take pictures. And I know how to play music. So, it saved me copyright issues because I can use all my own music on my videos. And,
Yeah.
and that makes it a little special. And, it's just been wonderful to be able to put all these things together and make it work and actually start something from nothing that actually it makes me enough money that I continue to do it. They don't pay me to go there and do these things. Um,
They need to give you a free ticket though. And they're like, I'm not paying for this ticket. I'm gonna
most
get
of the time, yes, they let me in free at least. And I was like, okay, I'll cover this thing if you let me in. But
how
uh,
many instruments do you play? Because could you do a whole one-man band? Like, have you seen that where the guy is like playing?
I have done it using technology. I have created a few songs where I played all the instruments. You know, I'm not a wonderful, I play guitar, I play keyboards, I play harmonica is what I play the best, I suspect. And you have my CD.
I was so happy. Willie brought me a CD at Fun and Sun, I think, and it's a signed copy. I don't know if you were giving away unsigned copies, but you've signed mine.
I did sign your copy.
Yeah,
Have
I
you
love it.
listened to it is the question, I guess.
I don't have a CD player,
That was the
Willie.
problem. I threw about 1,000 of those away because I was like, nobody can read these things anymore.
No,
So
I'm going to. And in fact, I was going to say, we have this like hold music. I need Willie on our hold music. I think you've done that. Do you do that at
I did
Jet?
it for Jet Fresh. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jet Fresh is Jet Fresh at the Jet jingle.
Hey,
They
they're the
still use
best
it.
out
I love
there.
it. I love it. It's
I
good.
know. We need our own jingle for details. So like, but we never
Uh,
put people on hold. So, that's just the
well, they're on hold. You got to be on hold for a few seconds anyway.
Oh
So
yeah, just to get a little bit.
I'll think about details. Okay.
Okay, yeah, I know. So we are adding something to our master classes, and we're gonna do this for all of our guests. So if
Yes.
anybody sees this, but we're gonna have a rapid fire. So you didn't get any of these questions,
All
Willie.
right. I'll
Just
close my
like
book here.
completely. So what is your favorite word in another language?
Um, it's Aufregend.
What is that?
Aufregend. It's a German. It means excited.
Okay,
Aufregend.
wee wee. That's mine.
Okay, you read.
What is your drink of choice?
Scotch.
What kind?
Tullamore.
Oh, more. Okay.
Irish Scotch. It's
Oh,
not an Irish Scotch, sorry, an Irish whiskey.
Irish whiskey.
I'll get in trouble there. Yeah. There's a
Okay.
big difference between Irish whiskey and Scotch.
Okay, we're going to talk about this afterwards. What is your favorite flower? In all the flowers you've seen, what is your favorite?
A peony.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're beautiful. They're fragrant. They just bust open. They're happy. Um, I can't say nothing bad about peonies.
You say it different than my English friends say it like that, and my American friends say peony.
Peony. Yeah. Well, I'm trying to be, eloquent.
I know. It's like, thank you. I appreciate that. Um, Seasons, what's your favorite? Summer, winter, spring, or fall?
Well, in Florida, we don't have much of that. It's summer for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You like to ride your motorcycle
I
all over.
sold it. So I'm happy to report I rode it for 30 years, didn't kill myself, didn't crash, didn't hurt
Yeah.
anybody, and it was time to move on.
I was worried about you. You know that your happiest days of your life is the day you buy a motorcycle and the day you sell it. So
Oh, yeah.
same with
No,
a boat.
and it was. I bought that. I left the family company on a Friday, and I bought that on Saturday.
Really? That was you were having a midlife crisis. You were
Oh,
like,
oh, I did everything you're not supposed to do. I moved, I got divorced, I started the company, I closed the company, bought a motorcycle. Yeah, I was my
start a
midlife
podcast,
crisis, I guess.
all the
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
Morning or evening?
I'm a more of a morning guy.
Yeah, I know.
Which is a challenge because I've started a band again here. We've been rehearsing every week to play out in some place in Orlando here, and that means you got to drag your ass out at 9 and 10 o'clock at night, and so I'll have to take a nap.
Well, I play a mean jazz flute and I also play a tambourine if you're looking for
All
any
right,
additional help or
I've been
your
beating a
fan.
tambourine on my leg all morning. It's okay.
Are you a thinker or a doer?
I'm a doer.
Yeah,
Uh,
good. Take action. I like that.
yeah, anything that requires too much brain power, I'm like, okay, let me just do it.
Yeah. What is the place you most want to travel that you've never been to?
Ooh, well, it's planned. We're going to Seoul,
Oh, South Korea.
South Korea, for 2 weeks or 3 weeks in March.
Wait, your wife is learning to speak Korean, isn't she? Didn't
Yes, so
you tell me?
she's my tour guide. She can
How
read
well
it.
did she learn like
Well,
speaking Korean?
it's funny. As I've told her, she was living in Miami 20 years. I had her down there. She can't say hola. Um, but Korean sort of stuck with her. The language sort of worked in her head, so she can read it, she can write it, she can speak a little. So, which is a very difficult language. I just, she talks to the dogs and I in Korean, and we all.
She's gonna solve like world peace, like, just, like right from there. Um, What's for dinner tonight?
Hey, what's for dinner tonight? No, no response. But
You're
so
not cooking, Willie? You're not gonna make it.
I'm not even allowed in the kitchen.
Okay. What is your go-to karaoke song if you were gonna sing? Because you usually play the harmonica. I don't think I've heard you sing. Have I heard you sing?
I don't think so. I would say my go-to song would be
Mustang Sally.
well, Mustang Sally would be all right. I would say it's a song I've been doing quite a bit is Tom Petty, Last Chance for Mary Jane.
Oh, I like it. Okay.
Hmm.
I'm more of a love song by Sarah Bareilles. I like that song. That's my go-to karaoke. But you're not interviewing me. I'm asking the questions. What is your hidden talent? So you've got a lot of them, but what is your hidden talent?
Ooh, my hidden talent. Well,
No one knows. You're spilling it all here for
I'm
details.
pretty good at horseshoes.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I'm on a horseshoe team.
Okay. Have you gotten into pickleball?
Well, I haven't got the pickleball yet, but that's probably next on my list there. But yeah, it turns out there's 10 professional horseshoe pits literally in my backyard at
No.
a senior center, which is my neighbor. So anytime I walk outside and I hear clink, 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 I say, oh, they're playing horseshoes. So I grab my horseshoes and run over there and play some horseshoes. I'm not great at it, but I'm getting better.
That's interesting. Were these horseshoes, are they just like generic horseshoes or they've actually been on a real horse?
Now they're professional, if you not professional, but they are horseshoes that wouldn't fit on a horse very well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because they're bigger, right?
They're bigger, they're heavier, and they're a bit more open as opposed to being a horse
Yeah,
or like
I
that.
guess.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing with evolution, right? And
Yeah.
innovation.
Yeah, the
Um,
pickleball's coming, I think so.
what is your favorite dance move?
It would be, just dancing around and
Oh, like a two-step.
yeah, a two-step. I can do a little this, that. It's better if I have the flower in my teeth.
Okay.
I've done
Yeah.
that. I've done that at flower conventions somewhere. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna add, this is all my questions, actually. There are
Oh.
some other questions, but I would, we'd rather hear you play us out. So, do you mind playing us out? It's been a yeah, I love that. Thank you guys for tuning in. We loved getting to know more about you, Willie. Hopefully, I didn't torture you too much with some of my questions.
No, it was wonderful. I appreciate it, and I'm glad that we know each other well enough. We can have these friendly conversations, and it's been fun being. I don't know that I'm a master, but I'm on a master class, so I guess I've made it.
Hey, well, when am I going to see you next? Where are you going? When's your next show?
Next gen,
Oh, I will be there.
San Diego. Yeah,
Yeah. When is that? That's coming up.
it's coming up. It's at the end of the month here, and then there's Woofs are right after that.
Okay. Yeah, wait, that's February, right? I feel like it's in
Yeah,
February. Yes.
February. Yeah, the end of February. February, then March. The end of February, then March, and then SAF in Florida here again in Miami.
Yeah, I
And,
know. I know.
uh,
I love that they're all in Florida. It's like I can bring more people and,
yeah,
all those
well,
miles flight.
yeah, and you have your entourage there that we like to see. Besides,
Yeah, we do. I know. We love it. It'll be a good time. Are you going on the farm tour on and next gen?
no, because no,
You've seen
I've seen
no,
enough farms.
not yeah. Well, I'm excited for it.
No,
Uh
it's good. It's worth going on. I've seen most of those farms, I believe, and I go out. San Diego works fine for me because my children both live out there. My daughters and my grandkids all live out in that area, so I get to see them as well.
yeah, beautiful. Well, you'll get to go over there twice this year then.
Yeah,
So
yep,
get over there.
back
Well, I
again.
think we're going to be crossing paths multiple times. So if you guys see Willie out and about, don't be a stranger. He's really friendly, as you can tell, and he might even pull out his harmonica and play you a song. And next time when you call details, you're going to get Willie's harmonica
See, now I
hold
got two
tones.
jobs here. I got to
I
get
know.
work
I'm
and work.
putting you to work. Putting
Okay,
you to work.
details all the way.
All right. I love it. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. And if you have any questions for Willie, you can always email him at Willie with an extra E at flowersandcents.com.
That's
And
it.
of course, we'll get this video out to share with everyone. So thank you, Willie, for stopping in.
Hey, thank you, and thanks for promoting it. It was everybody said, "Hey, you're going to be on the show." I said, "Okay, here I go."
Yeah,
So,
there you go.
all right, sweetie. Nice
All
to talk
right.
to you, and thanks.
All right. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Bye.